PSG pretty much eliminate that entirely by just picking a whole bunch of press R, jobs done kind of champs. I mean, Ornn, obviously an absolute staple of that. Probably one of the better ones outside of maybe Malphite, but I like their comp. I think their comp is got a very, very clear pathway to success in this game. And now, I will say that Wako has lethal tempo, so it's likely he'll be going AD. I'm not sure that I like that all that much, because yes, you do have AP coming through from the Taliyah, but it does feel pretty annoying to play sort of short range up against the Jace. We'll see.
It does seem a bit weird. Definitely feels like a better... Well, I suppose there isn't really a lot of AD damage, right? There's just the Vi.
Yeah,
the
I
rest
guess that's
is,
true.
Yeah, I suppose it is just pretty much a comp with 3 damage dealers. A Taliyah, Vi off damage, and then the Kai'Sa praying to Godtone.
Oh. They are. Let's see. Let's see if it pays off.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, something to keep in mind, by the way, as we head into, obviously, this first game of the series, is that if you cast your mind back to the interview with Mission, after he pretty much dominated mid lane the entire series long and played almost at Kise's tower the whole time, he then said he needs to play more aggressive and give over less opportunities. So we'll see. Maybe he's going to look for some dives here, because it doesn't feel like there's many ways to be more aggressive than he already has been.
Yeah, he might have to curb that aggression post-6 as well, because it's so hard to be aggressive into Vi once that level 6 comes through. And maybe that's even a reason that you pick it. You know, I wouldn't think it'd be the main reason picked up, but if you can pick something that makes Mission's job more difficult, I think that definitely adds something for PSG. Obviously, feels like the big win condition for DCG is in mid, and even then, it's not actually a big win condition, right? Because Maple will be fine up against Mission, and I think Taliyah as well, a really good champ for neutralizing mid.
Yeah, I think, importantly, while Mission may be the more solid laner in general, Maple feels like the better player as the game starts to sort of continue playing. He certainly makes a whole lot less mistakes than Mission does,
yeah.
And that's kind of reflected in the team scoreline, right? Because a lot of the times, Mission kind of solo lost games. I mean, the Silas game comes to mind, and where he is trying it too hard to find advantages, where he just throws it, and oftentimes Maple, he's okay to concede a little bit, as long as later on he's able to find his right timing to make his mark in the game, and he does that extremely well. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, at the moment at least, Maple, obviously with that first strike, is doing pretty well in his lane. He had Scorch as well, so going for a little bit there of lane dominance.
A little bit of a mixture. Everything's looking pretty standard here, though. There is a Trundle on the way to top. And Arja is pretty pushed up. He has a ward, but he's going to spot him very, very late here.
Yeah,
this should be at least a flash.
And there is no jungle to help him necessarily.
Oh, wow.
He's trading over, bit of ring around the rosies. Nice pillar there will stop Arja from being able to just walk on out. He does commit his flash, so he is going to remain safe, but that's a big cooldown. And Hana's actually continuing on to chase him down this river. Jinjia is waiting in this bush. Arza going to help out with the Scuttle Crab, and it's likely to be Jinjia's. In fact, Jinjia could perhaps look for a double crab here, simply because of the lost tempo from that gank.
Yeah, easy to push mid, I think. If Taliyah does one push, he can get it on demand. Hana, he's played quite a bit of Trundle in his PCS career.
Positive win rate too.
That's all we need. Looks like Jinjia will go back to his jungle. Still has options though, and maybe a little bit of a trade coming out on the bot side. Big trade,
Not a whole lot landed, and Cascada opting to run forward. Wako dodging out of that grand entrance, and a nice Prey Seeker will get quite a lot of damage there onto Cascada, not able to proc that passive, so a little bit less than maybe he would have wanted, but ultimately, health trade certainly favoring the side of PSG in that one.
Yep. This wave will be held at the tower. Might give some sort of window for Jinjia later, and actually it'll force DCG to cancel their recalls unless they want to end up missing the whole wave. They do have their jungler coming onto the bot side soon though, so shouldn't feel too worried with Trundle entering the bot river. Looks like he will get that crab as well. DCG spot lane. They want to crash this wave if they can, especially with their jungler around.
I wonder what Jinjia is going to build first, because it feels like this isn't the best Black Cleaver first game, which we've seen him opt into quite a lot. Yeah, he almost always goes Black Cleaver first on the Vi. And while it does okay for himself, he shouldn't be really playing for himself, and his items suggest it might be the Black Cleaver. Obviously, that does build into the Chem Tank. It builds into the Divine Sunder as well, but I wouldn't want to see the Black Cleaver here, because ultimately Kai'Sa is the AD coming through, and the rest is pretty predominantly magic damage. And Kai'Sa certainly also does magic damage herself, so it doesn't feel like the Black Cleaver is as necessary in this one.
Yeah. Guess we'll see where he goes with it. Maple, he reset first. TP's back and is going to be able to crash this whole wave.
Wow.
It has a lot of priority over Mission right now. Mission still hasn't reset. I think he's trying to make sure he can get the tier Dirk first base, which is maybe a little greedy. But as long as no objectives are giving over for it, it should not matter too much. See what he ends up picking up. Has that D-Blade start, so can be a bit more difficult to get those items. A lot of control around this bot side of the river. Double pinks, and Janjia, he might just go over the wall and do this.
Oh. Wait, it doesn't spot him out.
No, and there is a lot of mid-prio here, so I don't think Hana can start this. He might make a play bot, but
yeah, bot
this
lane
might not be allowed with Talia in that bot river.
This is a very weird dynamic. Hana now will spot out the fact that this dragon's getting very low. Mission did manage to get that back off, and now it should just be this dragon conceded, perhaps, over to DCG. Janjia helping out Hana, giving him a nice little leash, and first dragon does go over to DCG. Mission with a pretty perfect recall timing there.
Yep, got his tier Dirk. I think it might have been a little misexecuted from PSG. I think they probably should have brought maybe one of the bot lane over to DPS that dragon, but thought they could get it without. Does cost them a little bit, as of course DCG, they managed to get that dragon without using much tempo of their own. And this is when the Jace will be much stronger than Talia on this Dirk timing, while Talia does have the wave clear. In a straight up fight, it will be that Dirk Jace who puts out the damage.
Well, Jinji has to be careful. Body Slam does connect. There's an explosive cast available, but Vault Breaker. Jinji is turning around. Okay, I think that's wise. This blue buff, though, might not be his anymore. Woody's in the area. But with this mid-prio mission, we'll have first move over to that buff, and it is just the blue buff snagged up here and taken away by Hana. Some of the early jungling power that you see out of Trundle. Certainly one of the harder champions to go up against in a 1v1, especially when you have that lethal tempo.
Sure. Walker's still hovering around mid, just wants to keep this J safe. There is no level 6 on the Vi yet. But if they can keep forcing this mid-prio and maybe start the Herald on the spawn, it would be pretty nice for them. Still a lot of members around here. I think we probably will see a fight around the Herald just by how much has been put towards mid lane already. Oh, nice damage onto Mission, but he has 2 pots, 3 biscuits, and the D-Blade. So I'm sure he can sustain back up.
Look at how many biscuits have not been consumed this game, and tell me it's a good rune.
It's not a good rune. I'll never tell you that.
All right. That's good. There is a lot of unconsumed biscuits.
There are.
I swear you'd just rather have Cosmic Insight, like 99% of the time.
I think he has it, right? Doesn't he have Cosmic Biscuits, or did he take Boots Biscuits?
Which person are we talking about?
Mission.
Mission?
Wow, there's so many biscuits.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Every single champ has at least 2.
Wow, there's so many. Yeah. I definitely think Boots Cosmic, for the most part, is the best inspiration. Will be a blue buff traded away, and this Herald picked up. Now up to DCG's bot lane to make sure they neutralize and do not get dived. It looks like Mission is able to keep that mid-prio, which is really crucial because it means that Talia can't go bot and set up a 4-man. That's so good for Mission to be able to keep that, especially because it is maybe a little scary to play for that mid-prio while your jungler is doing Herald, because that's kind of the window you normally get ganked on. But he manages to get through it relatively unscathed, or completely unscathed.
Okay, I think Junji is going Kim Punk, which admittedly doesn't make a whole lot of sense either. But, I mean, we'll see.
We will. This could be a window to lock on Mission, though. Woody's coming out of base, and Mission has not yet reset. There's not a lot of vision around mid either, although Maple, he's just going to shove in the waves, so it doesn't look like there's going to be much to happen. So,
and this is the fun lane to watch.
Yeah, feels kind of just how the game's gone right now. A bit of a farm fest in every lane. Normally, I would say that favors the side of PSG. They just really good when it comes to mid-game team fights. And this is how they won a lot of their split 1 games, where it'd just be, go towards that 2nd or 3rd dragon fight, and then the teams come online by then. They definitely win. Maple, he goes for the crown. Feels pretty odd. In fact, feels really odd.
I think Arj's boots also feel pretty odd.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Maybe he'll swap them out later. It might just be full lane, but it feels like later on you probably do want those plated steel caps, given that you are up against the Trist, Trundle, as well as the Jace. It's pretty much all the damage. Admittedly, early game it will mean that Trundle's Subjugate doesn't take quite as much armor away.
Hana's in bot side here with the Herald. Doesn't feel like they're going to be able to make a play, but maybe they can just drop the Herald for gold, or they could all come towards mid. Do they have enough tempo to 4-man? I wouldn't think so. No, resets will come out. So Hana, he's just guarding this bot side river for now. Dragon, 30 seconds away. It's really good, I think, to have a make sure the Vi has no sort of window onto that Jace. Krishkada, he's going forward. No, he really wants it.
Goes supercharged and loses the majority of his health, but as does Krishkada. Jumps away before that passive can be procced. And now, it should probably be a recall coming through from Wako, although the tempo lost means they probably do just lose the second dragon. And I think PSG should be relatively okay with it. They can then look to contest the third. And ultimately, you do want to have some items online on both the Kai'Sa as well as the Taliyah. But Hana being looked at, he does get that Subjugate off, and the Grand Entrance Magnastorm, everything has been used, and a massive shove here from Maple confirms he gets first blood. Vault Breaker knocking back both Orca and Maple, stunned up from that Rel. It should be Maple picking himself up a double as Hanabi arrives, as well as Arja. And these two tanks see what they can get done. Maple finding another kill perhaps. In fact, Arzi manages to take that one, and then the Ornhorn sounds. It does knock up Orca, but there is no follow-up to be had from that. And now a bit of an overextension coming through from the side of DCG leads to PSG to pick up 3 kills as well as the Dragon.
It was pretty much a picture-perfect team fight for the side of PSG and led this CC really well. And that's just what PSG does. They're really, really good at team fighting, and their players in general are solid enough that they'll never fall behind in lane. Kind of see that here. They make sure to hit their spikes on time, and Hana, I guess he wasn't expecting to be found out by the sweeper. Went on him over the wall here, and just look how well set up it is for Maple to deal damage. He gets all 3, I think. And it's really, really nice when you can pick Taliyah with setup. Has, of course, the Vi and the Rel for it. And even Ornn later in the game. And if we saw a damage chart for this fight, I think Taliyah unquestionably would be at the top. It's just such a perfect fight for Taliyah. And getting Hanabi on the way out as well feels like the cherry on top. Weren't really expecting to get this, but all gold picked up. And I believe they got a Dragon and now disabled the Herald. So everything PSG want.
Yeah, and once Maple does recall, he's going to be a very scary Taliyah. And wow, look at the damage he's outputting. This is before getting off his base. Does have teleport to come back to this mid lane. Oh, taking a look at top.
Big trades in top. Hanabi, he does have a CS lead for himself. Somewhat expected just from the strength of Gragas in the lane. But Ornn, you're never worried. Even if this champ falls behind in CS, it's still very, very hard to deal with.
Yeah, and ends up adding 5,000 gold worth of items to your team anyway, so honestly, you're pretty much expecting to lose most lanes if you're Ornn. It's kind of like Scion, but perhaps a little bit stronger.
Abyssal first item on Arja.
Oh, that's weird considering how much.
Pretty strange. I guess he's just built to be able to withstand the Gragas and thinks the team can play 4v4 for now.
And I guess it will help out Maple. Maple is very far ahead, so. Yeah, interesting though. I guess ultimately he's not going to be interacting a whole lot with the Jace or Tristana, even the Trundle just yet. Really is only going to likely be joining those team fights when the teleport cooldown comes through Ornhorn, then try and help out. And to be able to do that, you do need to maintain at least some amount of health.
How's this bot tower looking? I think it might have taken... it took a little bit of damage there. Wako, he's got a small CS lead for himself, but it's not out of control. Next Dragon. That Dragon being picked up for PSG was really, really nice, because I think DCG are going to have difficulties executing team fights as the game goes later. So having that Dragon win condition pushed back by 5 minutes is super, super nice. PSG, they might start swapping their lanes around, sending Maple towards that top side. And this makes Jace really vulnerable, being in one of these longer side lanes. Normally, it's a good place for the Jace to be, but up against Taliyah Vi, there's that sort of semi-global that comes out of the Taliyah. And then, of course, the Vi follow-up would be really, really nice. Looks like it was Boots Biscuits for mission. He's got those magic boots in his inventory there.
Oh, yeah.
A little surprised we didn't see the stopwatch out of him. Oftentimes you see the stopwatch picked up against the Vi. In your runes. Mission is resetting. Does not have TP either. How aggressive are PSG going to get with this Herald? I think you probably do want to save it for mid. Although it's not as important in this game because there is no Shiv user. But maybe they can just get Maple to push top, come down, and then break that tower later. They don't really feel the need to speed this game up, though. I'm sure they're very happy farming up to their 2 items. TCG, could they make a play on top side? It feels like there's too much vision and Maple's too aware. But maybe they can get some chunk as Orca. He could face check this bush, will not go for it. The River's next, though.
Yeah, not a whole lot happening. Oh, although Hana will be sprinting to that top side. Maple, though, too safe to be caught out. And it is a bit of a quiet one. I mean, ultimately there is now only the minute left until this Mountain Dragon spawns, and I think we might see some contest go over towards that. We'll have to wait and see, of course, as Wako, not quite hitting his items, does have that Q upgrade now, which is very important, of course. Doesn't have supercharged upgraded, however, which almost feels more important a lot of the time. Not in terms of damage, but just keeping yourself safe and empowering those auto attacks and attack speed.
30 seconds away now. See if anyone else can pick up items before that. I think if you're DCG, you probably do need to keep fighting here. Don't think you'll want a super long game. But it's one that feels really difficult. PSG's comp is very, very strong already. Hana needs to be careful.
Yeah, they might get caught out just before this dragon once again, but wisely steps away. It is a 2-level lead for Jinjia in that jungle, so Hana will be considerably weaker than the Vi, who did opt in for that Divine Sunder as the item. Makes a whole lot of sense. I think the other 2 options that Vi's often go for make almost no sense in this game, at least for now. RG as well, building towards what I imagine is going to be a Juck show.
Yeah. Maple just got his Shadow Flame, so he's really, really spiked.
Yeah.
And they're walling off.
Weaver's Wall comes out.
Ooh.
It's going to secure that. At least this tower goes down, and they're likely to get one more chunk as well. RG is here, and so meanwhile, down the bot side, Hanabi trying to find a tower of his own, but it's going to be 2 towers picked up for PSG.
Looks like it gets traded, though.
Yep, 2 towers found, both inners on top and bottom are picked up by DCG. So all things considered, gold fairly even. But now, Dragon is on the cards. Arju running away from Hana and Orca in the mid side. His mission still going to work here on this top side inner, which is a massive spike of gold if he's able to find it. Arju's trying to answer, but the whole side of DCG are just willing to go look for this tower in exchange for the Mountain Drake. So, mission, feeling pretty good about that one individually.
Yeah.
But it is another Dragon towards that soul, obviously sitting at 2 now, PSG.
I think it is still worth it, though, for DCG. They got a lot of much-needed gold, and I'm a little surprised by PSG's macro there, because normally when you're ahead, you don't need to trade. You can, match lanes, just clear. It'd be really hard to dive that Talia on the top side. Hanabi gets looked at, will be fine. See if he comes out bot. But yeah, I feel like they would have been safe and would have been able to keep at least one of those towers alive. Instead, while of course they do pick up the drag, it's pretty costly. 2 items come in for mission pretty early. Even without the first strike, picking up all that side lane gold has accelerated him a lot.
Now, 50 seconds until the Baron will spawn, and with Wako now getting his second item, that Navori online means there is the chance that PSG can shred it. Obviously, both Maple and Wako will do a lot of damage to that objective, but it is unlikely. I don't think you do it quick enough to not be found out. Jace obviously having a lot of poke, being that he is at 2 items. Hasn't yet upgraded the Mirror Mana, but not too far away from that happening. I think we might just see a little bit of a lull again until this next dragon spawns, at which point we'll see if DCG can find a lot across the map as they did with the last one, or if it will be a contest. You do start to feel like at that 3rd dragon mark, it feels a little bit more important to contest, because being at Soul Point just feels pretty horrible most of the time.
For sure. It feels like the only trade really worth that would be if they could do that Baron somehow. But their DPS, it's not the greatest. But it's not the worst either. They have the chance to be able to do it. A lot of members committed up to topside though, and I think this is DCG trying to find a fight as Hanabi and Mission are both here. Are just walking up though.
Orca, grand entrance onto Jinjia very, very early as There's going to be that quickness used. Jinjia getting locked up, but does manage to get himself out of there with that Vault Breaker. And ultimately, all it was Mission's flash for nothing, really.
Nice pickup. Now Jace will be a lot more vulnerable in the next fight, especially if he doesn't have a stopwatch for the Vial. While the gold is even, I think you definitely favor PSG in the game at the moment. Feels like they're the ones making the proactive plays. They have the control, and I think you would say the outscaling comp. Definitely the easier comp.
Yeah. I think ultimately DCG scale fine into the game, but probably not as hard. And a lot of that comes down just simply because there's an Ornn that you're against. Yeah. Quite often makes the team that doesn't scale too hard scale overly hard.
This guy's got 2 items now as well, and I think he's going to need some pretty big items because that Ornn, while he doesn't have a lot of armor yet, will have some soon. That's going to make things a little bit more difficult for him. He actually goes for the... Is it the... What
Radiant
do you call
Virtue.
that? Yeah.
But I don't know what the
upgrade
one is.
Primordial Dawn, maybe?
Wow.
I'm not sure if that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, Mission, though, he has no flash. If he walks up to this wave, I think he's going to die.
I think he might... Oh.
I think Maple might have showed a bit too early. I think Mission was going to walk up to that wave.
Might still. They could even look for a dive, perhaps. Wako's in the area. That Killer Instinct should pretty much confirm it to be able to happen.
Yeah, a lot of pings on him, but they do have TP from Hanabi.
Yeah, he is being looked at. Acceleration Gate will speed him up enough to get him out of there. But it is PSG looking for this tower. Cascada jumps forward. The shove lands onto Hana, and what a chunk. That's half his HP gone in the matter of seconds. And now it should be priority over this tower given to PSG. They should be able to pick this one up with half health on Hana and Orca. It feels pretty hard to contest. Hanabi, though, continuing to be off on his own, and he's looking for these mid towers, and constant pressure around the map is being exerted from this Gragas. You almost wish it was a Fiora at this point.
Through that. 50 seconds on the next Dragon Hunter. He's being chased. Looks like he will get that recall off.
Now, is RJ going to be able to hit level 14? That's a very important question, because if he does, he'll be able to choose to upgrade one of the mythics on his team, likely to be Maple or Wako's. But certainly is a massive spike, not only for him, but for the team. Shouldn't be too far away from it.
No, it should be pretty close.
Yeah, Hanabi is 14, but obviously he has spent a lot more time on his own there farming in the side lanes. So we'll see. There is one more wave that can be cleared on out, and if RG gets the XP, perhaps he will hit level 14.
This is a big fight for both sides.
Oh, Jajir gets knocked up by that grand entrance.
I'm a bit worried for DCG in this fight. I think the no-flash Jace has to play really, really respectfully. And it's a fight you feel like you sort of should contest. There's no real good trade you can go for. Could give it over, but what are you really buying time for? Just need to be able to find some poke, but it's not easy. Some very beefy frontliners to put up here.
Oh, he hit 14. Wako has his upgraded Navori, and it's a massive engage found. Arja and everyone else trying to do all the CC they can. It's 3 for 0. It's a 5-man explosive cast, but it's a little bit too late. And now attention towards this Baron. It will likely be traded for the Dragon, although not necessarily, yeah. We do see Maple and RJ staying away from this Baron and guarding the Dragon for now, and you're seeing how quickly this is being taken out. Wako doing obscene amounts of damage to the objectives, and it really was a massive wombo combo found from the likes of Woody and RJ to secure that teamfight win, secure the Baron, and back onto the map, likely to head towards Dragon.
For sure, and Orca, he was found on the side here, took a lot of damage. Wako dodged out of that, and the engage from Woody finds him and finds pretty much everyone else. And you really see the strength of the PSG comp here. Maple's wall even forced Mission into that fight there without the flash. And their comp is just so easy to pull off. Maple even has a Zhonya's now, so it's going to be virtually unkillable.
I don't think he ever used his stopwatch, by the way. He had his stopwatch before he had Shadow Flame and never even felt pressured enough to have to use it. Yep. So, I mean, obviously it has been a pretty slow game. We're at 24 minutes. It's 6-0 in favor of PSG, but yeah, the fact that you've never felt pressured at all. As Talia, who isn't a mobile mage, now granted you can sort of stop people from going onto you, isn't always the easiest to pull off.
No, it doesn't feel like there's the most threat onto it either.
Yeah.
Really just the pillar and maybe the Rakan. Gragas hasn't been in many of the fights so far, so not super relevant, but now let's see how much they can get with it. Looking mid, though, onto Maple, but that's not the target you can find.
Yeah, Flash was used, so it is an important cooldown, but he's kept his crown, he's kept his onions, so he's still ultimately going to be feeling pretty good about himself if there were to be a fight to break out. It does feel like DCG might just not be able to fight. They are 7k gold down, and they are missing quite a lot of item spikes. I think Tristana really going to need to get some armor pen coming through. Obviously, it is that Last Whisper picked up. Weaver's Wall comes through, splits off the team of DCG. Explosive cast lands onto Waku, takes him down to half HP.
Oh,
now Grand Entrance found on 2. They are looking. It's a nice lot of CC and Magnet Storm. Killer Instinct as well from Waku. It's 2 down already. He's flashed the wall. The passive will not secure the kill onto Cristata, who is limping away. RG flashes 4, is going to manage to find a 3rd in the team fight. It is 3 found, 0 in response. As Hana, he's on the wrong side of the map. He's just going to look for a recall to defend the base, but it's 5 strong. They're working their way towards this bot lane inhibitor. Only Cristata and Hana to try and defend it. It looks like it should only be this one going down, and maybe they'll start to look towards mid, which is quite low, but low health bars, they are just going to recall.
I like playing it safe. Don't think you need to give DCG any way back into this game. And it is going to be so hard for them to find it because there's just so many items being picked up here by the side of PSG. Now level 15 on Arja. Can Jajir get out? I think he can. Ooh, bit of a mind game.
Ooh.
Pushes him over the wall.
Oh my goodness. I think that wasn't what he intended, but it happened.
That's really
Hana,
weird.
He's probably not feeling too good about that.
No, they did get Vi's flash, but it does feel way too little too late here. You're so far behind as a comp that definitely functions better from ahead. You see the wall here, and it looked like DCG had defended. They cleared out the wave, but they decide they don't want to bleed out. They try to go for an engagement. Rakanot was already used on Maple. And once again, the Talia and all the rest of the team fight is just too much for DCG to deal with. And I think this is pretty much game over here. It feels like the deficit now is too much. And there was a lot of cooldowns used in that fight. Maybe another
alive. It is a Magnet Storm used. Killer Instinct as well. And Maple has made his way in there with that Weaver's Wall. Seismic Shove lands onto 2. And now with Junjia coming in from downtown. Lock it up. Orchid does go golden. 1 auto from going down. It will be found. Cristata picking himself up a shutdown. It's the first kill of the game there for DCG. But they lose 2 for it and some towers afterwards.
Second kill. Not sure where the other one was. Can't even remember now.
Yeah, I thought it was first. I lied.
That inhib though, the bot inhib. There's 2 super creeps coming there soon, and even without the Baron wave, I think PSG might be able to break this.
Yeah, health bar is still full, and you've got Waco and Maple alive, so the damage certainly is there. Seismic shove,
so
good
close.
buffer. Rocket jump keeps him safe, but very, very good find by Maple to almost secure the kill onto that Tristana.
Yep. This is just classic PSG. It's not the quickest game, and it doesn't need to be, but it is probably the cleanest. There just isn't a way back in to this game, I don't think, from DCG. Maybe your window, while these PSG members don't yet have their flashes. But even still, it feels really hard. There's so many other things you got to get through, like Zhonya's or just all the tank stats that are up. And a minute away from Seoul, I would expect DCG try and contest, but realistically, feels like an unwinnable fight. You might even be better off trying to delay the Dragon just a little bit and then all in on the Baron and just hope you can get it.
Yeah. It was Geralda's picked up.
Okay, yeah. I think if you play the game out normally from this point, you're definitely not going to win. So we'll see. Maybe barring some massive team fight performance. But it's so hard, right? DCG's comp is so much harder to execute on. And Mission, he does have flash, but I think he might be gone.
Yeah, he is very, very extended here, and he is probably, despite the scoreline, the strongest member on the team right now, and Seismic Shove should confirm he does go down, and in fact will. And so, you've lost your Jace. Now, he isn't going to be up for this next Dragon, and in fact, neither is your AD carry or the rest of your team. As the engage comes out mid, it's found by Arja. He's trying to look for more. Junjia and Wako continuing on forward, trying to find Hana on the top side, though. Maple does confirm a kill there. It's going to be onto Orca as Hana and Junjia, they're doing their dance once more, but this time it's Hana who has to run away. Pillar will secure his safety, and now just that Gragas and the Trundle left to try and defend against 5 members of PSG. Another ornament coming through. Junjia will have his Divine Sunder upgraded now, and It does feel like there isn't enough wave clear, although the explosive cast certainly helps. As the 5 members working on these Nexus towers, they're both very low. They're both going to go down. Woody does jump forward as they're looking for more kills, but they will not land the seismic shove, so it should just be the game over. Game number 1, 14-2, 30 minutes in favor of PSG.
Yep, it wasn't